Hello and welcome to another episode of French Ear Trumpet. I'm Andy from AJ in France, and as usual, got Colin from French Countryside Live. But today we're joined by Sean, and he is an avid follower of both our channels and French Ear Trumpet as well. So we're really happy to have him on. And recently, he's purchased a house in France. So the reason we've got him on is, well, one, he asked to come on, which is great. We love that. So if anyone else wants to come on and just tell us your story, comments below, just put a little comment in there and you can come on and have a chat. No problems. Ask any questions. Won't be an issue. Anyway, so contacted us and said, "Can we come on and have a chat?" And thanks for coming on, Sean. It's brilliant.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to Herberts on
To
the.
us.
Well, thanks for having me on. Bit of background. Sean Harkin. I was born in Birmingham. I then, at the age of 23, moved to Derry/Londonderry in Northern Ireland. Yeah, that's a completely another story. But there I met my wife, Mairead. Married, three kids. Live in Belfast now. Work for a software company. But I've always wanted I always wanted to have a house somewhere else, more like a bolt hole. And not really thought about somewhere to retire to. It was only, last couple of years I thought, well, maybe France. I did think of other places. Bit of background. We initially, my wife and I, applied to move to Canada,
Oh,
but uh, due to we are three boys being on the autistic spectrum, they said that it may be too costly for the health system, so we were actually turned down. So it led us to think about where else we can maybe move to. Well, we're happy enough here, but I always wanted to move somewhere else later on in life. This was probably 2004, 2005. So I've always we traveled to France several times now. Initially, we did actually come to Brittany, and then we've traveled to the Toulouse and Carcassonne and actually North Coast in Abbeville. But I always liked the North more for my wife because I don't mind the heat, but Mairead really suffers badly in the heat. So the North was always much more uh, climatically better. It's more in tune with the kind of dreary weather we get here in Northern Ireland. So it's terrible.
I can
Um,
imagine.
Oh,
but
you
then
moved from Birmingham
I
to
moved from Birmingham to Derry, slash Londonderry, depending
here.
which way your bread's buttered. And that's where I met Mairead. I was trained as a carpenter. Couldn't find work. I did some volunteer work, which brought me into do some a computer course at the University of Ulster. And when I was there, I was then chatting to one of the lecturers who said, "Why don't you just apply for a degree as a mature student?" I thought, well, I've got nothing better to do. So I applied for a degree and I finished my degree in 2000, no, 1997. And Mairead then, she went to Dublin to do her master's degree. And then we still kept going out with each other. And then we eventually, when I finished my degree, I moved to Belfast, and then Mairead moved to Belfast as well. So, and then I got a job with a software company, and I've been working there in the last 20 years. So
I think the one thing that people who watch this channel are going to want to know is, do you have an Irish passport?
I do. My parents, my no, it's like literally opening a door. I have a British passport. I have an Irish passport. My parents, my father's actually born in the north in 1924. He's dead now. As my mother was actually born in the south in
Perfect.
1926. But because of that, I have access to Irish citizenship. So yeah,
Can I
it's
can
just
I can I just ask? Sorry to interrupt, but
that's
if you ever
okay.
watch the channel, I do this a lot. Can I just ask how your kids were they born in the UK? Sorry, were they born in England or where were they born?
No, but all the boys were born in Belfast, so they both have a UK passport and Irish passports, so they can literally travel freely within the 28 Schengen countries.
Amazing.
It's just because of all the things I've looked on. I've always found people from England or Scotland or Wales moving over, all from the south of Ireland. But I think I'm probably one of maybe the first people I know of who's moving from the north of Ireland, which comes under the UK jurisdiction, to France. So I have all the kind of the benefits of both country,
Yeah.
both the UK and Ireland.
Yeah, it's interesting because every year my friends from my old job come and spend some time, a weekend, long weekend here, and it's really interesting. But one of them is from Northern Ireland, and it's quite strange. He voted for Brexit, strangely, but now he uses his Irish passport, which he could get for his grandparents, to come and visit here, so he doesn't have to do the same problems, have the same problems as a UK passport holder, shall we say. And I find it quite interesting that someone could come from that area and vote for Brexit. It's bizarre. Anyway, that's an aside. But yeah, so
Well,
carry on, carry on.
So where were we? I'll go ahead like a sip.
that's all right. One of the
So
questions,
yeah,
I could just interrupt you just
yeah,
again.
sure.
Again.
Again, tangent.
One of the questions that just occurred to me is that when I was first looking for a property in France, which is 2014, we looked right across Europe, various countries, some we discounted straight away. One of the countries that we looked at online, property-wise, was Southern Ireland, because I think there'd been a property crash, hadn't there? And property was so cheap, and developers had built these houses or changed their houses, and they just couldn't sell them, and they was virtually giving them away. But I think it was only the obvious, the weather, that stopped us looking at that further.
Yeah, yeah. There are ghost towns still within Ireland.
Right.
Um, Unfortunately, the actual cost of living in Ireland is very, very expensive. I mean, you wouldn't get anything around about Dublin for less than half a million.
Wow.
It is that expensive. I mean, rent is £2,000 a month or €2,000 a month. In the north is a lot cheaper because it's tied to the UK, and the actual sort of the infrastructure here is probably not as good as it would be in the rest of or in Great Britain. Um, we've looked at kind of maybe Donegal or somewhere in the south of Ireland,
Hmm.
but I think from my point of view it was more affordability. What could I afford to buy? I mean, the house that we did buy. First of all, we actually found it through JB French Houses. It's a very, very, it's not small website, but I wouldn't say it's up to date. It's pretty basic website, but it's got functionality. And I contacted Jean Bernard, who owns it, right, and said, look, we would like to visit some of the houses. And then he contacted the actual immobiliers and arranged that we went over in February to actually view them. Now, most of them were round about between our sort of budget was about 100,000, 110,000. Um, but we had to try and include the actual, the immobilier fees and the notaire fees,
Yep.
which we know is about and maybe another extra 13% on top of what you're going to pay.
Mm.
So that was one thing we had to, keep in mind. We found about five or six houses in Brittany generally, and we went over. And uh, as you ever go to the website itself, there is absolutely clever photography going on where
Yes.
you'll get the front of a and again you'll get the front of a house and you realise we've seen this house and we thought it could be okay, but there's no windows at the back. There's no back door. There's no windows at the back, and you're going because they photographed it such a way that you couldn't really tell. Only when we visited it, we went, there's no windows. So
That is an actual thing about houses in the north. So you'll find the north face of a house doesn't have windows, and
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
that's a Brittany, Normandy,
Yeah.
especially. And I actually, interestingly, I was speaking to a guy at work who's lived here, grew up here, and I said, look, because we were just on a site doing work, and I said, look at that house, there, it's beautiful, really nice, but there's no windows on the back. And he said, well, yeah, well, when they were built, the north side would be cold and wet most of
Mm.
the time. Why
All the
would you
time.
want to
Yeah.
look out at that? you might as well fill it all in and keep the heat inside. And in fact, when the houses were built and what they were built for, there wouldn't have been very much time spent inside the building. So most of these buildings, especially in the countryside, are just designed for nighttime use, basically. The rest of the day, everybody will be outside doing farming or whatever it is that they're doing, but they won't be in the house. And when they do go back to the house, it'll be after sunset anyway. So why have a window? I mean, that's the reason in most countryside houses.
Our first
Strangely,
house up in Normandy was a barn conversion, and the back wall was about a metre thick. And we did look into putting a patio door in the back, but pretty much everybody that we talked to said it will leak. Whatever we do, it will leak because that's what, as you say, that's where the weather comes from, and the rain smashes into that, and
Oh
so
yeah,
yeah, so that's the reason anyway.
yeah.
strangely, so you mentioned actually the north-facing walls that have no windows. I was on a training course probably for my 50th birthday, which is a few years ago, and it was it was about how to build club houses, and all the north walls, where the actual east, west, and south were all made of cob, but the actual north wall was made of straw, and there was usually very, very small windows, 12 by 12 inches,
Mm.
about 300 millimeters square, and they would have that in north wall because of that complete the weather. So yeah, I can now understand why there's no windows on those north facing walls.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all down to the life that was lived in them as well. They genuinely would go out at daybreak and they wouldn't come home till the evening. So they
Yeah.
might have windows on the fronts to capture as much of the evening sun as possible on the maybe on the west wall as well. But they certainly during the day the north wall they wouldn't do that. It's more valuable to them to cut the weather out. That's interesting. That's for anyone looking for a house, and then think, oh, yeah. I mean, even the house I'm in now, thinking about it, there is one window on the north side, and it's tiny, and that's up in what would have been the attic, but I've converted it. Other than that, there is no windows on that side of my house. Everything is on the south side because it's south at the front and north at the back, if you see what I mean. So all the windows are at the front. So you can see here, this side is south, but that side, there's no windows at all. It's quite strange, but yeah, that's exactly why. So it's
So,
interesting for people buying houses.
so I was just wondering, coming from Northern Ireland, there, what's the route that you would take to get to Brittany? I can't think of an easy
Well, there
route.
is. We just fly over. The cheapest flights are Dublin to Nantes, and
Okay,
then hire a car and then drive up. We did visit Brittany before. We flew Dublin to Rennes and then just drove across. We stopped in Morbidden that year. But we are traveling over later this year and we're going from Cork to Roscoff, and then just drive our own car from
okay.
there to
How long is that ferry?
very 16 hours.
Okay, not
The
too bad.
flight, well, yeah, it's about a 2 hour drive to the port from Belfast, and then 16 hours, and then about an hour and a half from the port, maybe 2 hours from the port to the house. Um, but it's moreover this time we're taking the twins. Um, the oldest he's staying here to look after the house. So the twins are coming over with us just to do some work on the house. The house. I didn't mention the house. The house actually cost uh, 80,000 euro, plus notaire fees and immobilier fees came to, I think it was 93 500. So um, for what we got, pretty good. It's like a three-bedroom detached house with a bit of land. So it is. It isn't a busy road, and a couple of things not so great around it. But to be honest, for not for roughly about £80,000, £85,000, it's a bargain. Really is a bargain. I mean, don't, it needs new windows. It probably needs a new roof within the next year and a half, 2 years. But again, that's all kind of skills that I hope to pick up. I mean, I wasn't. I was never. I was. I was never a roofing carpenter. I have done roofing, so I'm lucky enough to have the actual skill sets to actually bring with me. So
Good, right.
because
So you found your house on JB French Houses,
JB French houses, yeah,
and I do know it. I actually have I've looked at those on there in the past, and you can get some absolute bargains on there. I really,
like
really can.
yeah,
No, no, seriously, some really
yeah.
good houses that I don't know, they're probably maybe undervalued for how good they are. They are pretty
I think it's
good.
probably one of the lower end market. I looked at is it Leggett, you know, I looked at that,
Mm.
and they seem to be same sort of houses. Actually, some of the houses are on JB compared to Leggett, and they're slightly more expensive on Leggett. Maybe they've just got much bigger overheads.
Could
So
be, could be the a high percentage of um, the estate agents levy, if you like.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, there'll be. I mean, I did with the actual immobilier we used. Obviously had to actually then pay a percentage to JB because obviously it was them who we first initially contacted, I know people kind of really do complain about the fees, but when you actually see how much the person them get themselves, it's not a great deal.
It's
I
not.
mean, I
No,
know
Most of it is French
it's
taxes.
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. People think,
I don't
no,
know
I'm paying
tax
five
ones. Yeah.
thousand. You pay 5,000 to a like immobilier, and I guarantee that three and a half thousand will be going to the taxman.
Yep, absolutely. And people don't realize. And also, don't forget that the estate agent, immobilier, is legally bound to help you for a year after you've purchased the
Yeah,
property as well.
I mean, we had an English speaking immobilier, and she was just the best. You
Mm.
know, I was contacting her, even though she was holiday, I'd send a message, and she'd get back to me. I'm going, no,
Yeah.
look, you're on holiday. Don't contact me when you're on holiday. Enjoy your holiday. Contact me. She was always ready to help. Absolutely
Yeah.
wonderful. I
My experience is the same. I think, Colin, you've had the same experience that so far that most have been good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been to see houses where the estate agent isn't very good and stuff, but the ones I've settled on and gone with, or they tend to be the ones that are very helpful and, provide the service that you would want. So that's interesting that. So I'm assuming you originally found this then on a website, on their website. Did
did,
you
yeah.
did
Yeah,
you
cool.
did you book just to go and see that one, or did you go and view many properties at the same
I
time?
think we visited seven. We were there for 4 days, and we drove around the whole of Brittany. We hired a car, and we just booked, stayed in a hotel, and just travelled um, for 4 days. And I think it was like once we actually seen that, and actually it wasn't me. I was all kind of restless and oh, I'm not sure about this. It was more like my said, this could be this could be a winner here. And then once I went in, I went, you know what? It's nice. It's got a nice feel to it.
Uh,
I mean, again, I was looking at the windows and going, they got to be replaced. The doors got to be replaced. The roof's got to be replaced. But it had a lot of great, good things about it that kind of pushed us in, and the cost was good as well. There was a lot of woodworm that was fixed and probably needs to be looked at again in another year or 2 years. But I kind of look and say, well, for what the kind of cost that we got it for was good.
mm,
I think it was actually.
mm. Good. Yeah. So, one of the questions I was going to ask is, how did you find the whole, or did you have any problems with the whole purchasing process, dealing with the notaire? Did you have to have an interpreter or anything like
Well, the notaire only spoke French. Um, Lovely man. I mean, I've got basic French. When I say basic, it's pretty basic. All right? I can, order meals and get by, but not when you're
de
talking,
bière,
yeah,
de croissant?
croissant, le beer. Uh, yeah, the woman, the lady who was our immobilier, right? She really helped us on the day when we actually signed. We went through all the whole documents, and she kind of explained things, what you're getting, and it was more over that you're buying a house, warts and all, and we all went, yeah, that's fine, and that's why it was great to have her but she was there at the actual signing with the notaire, and the notaire was excellent. The only really issue I found was um, we never heard of this thing called SAFER,
Ah,
which
yes.
right, which was a real surprise because we looked at the house, we put an offer in, the seller accepted, we all went, oh, it's great, it's like going great. And then we got to the 23rd, 24th of
Yeah.
April, and I'm going, right, I'm booking my flights, we can come over and sign. And then she went, oh, wait a minute,
Hold
we've
on.
got a
Hold on.
SAFER now. And SAFER is a organisation that looks after rural affairs of France. And so basically, they get last dibs on the house. So if you try to buy a house and it has possibly, is it more than, I'm not sure, is it more than 10,000 hectares or maybe 1,000 hectares? They can actually go in and actually buy it at whatever price they deem is worth it. So the way it works is that you put your offer in, everybody it says it's great. They then notify Suffer. Suffer then has 2 months to reply. Now, I'm going, oh, it's going to be end of June. So um, the Immobilier said, look, you can pay more and they'll fast track him. So I says, okay. I says, how much is that? And I said, it's 180 euros. So pay the 180 euros about a week and a half after the initial notification that went to Safar. And then we heard nothing back. We literally heard nothing back.
Yeah.
Nothing was fast tracked. So we come the about 3 weeks before the actual 2 months was up, we just booked flights and said, right, we're going to sign on the 27th of June. So 27th of June came, we went over on the 26th, stayed overnight, and then next day turned up at the notaire. The immobilier turned up, signed the documents. 45 minutes later, we owned a house in France.
So did you get no notification at all from
Not that they didn't even get back to the notaire.
Money well spent.
uh,
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and get that money back, but it's France. It's going to be,
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah,
struggle, you're gonna struggle.
I
But
know.
somebody might turn up one day and cut half your land off because they bought.
Oh, but then you get into the kind of
did I get the memo?
Castrata. That's right. Yeah, I did send it. The was it Castrata? The plot. If you look in the
That's true.
plot,
Yeah.
Oh,
oh yeah,
cadastral.
Cadastra.
Cadastral.
Yeah, right. And what's the other one? The ports. No, Portal. It
Oh,
actually shows you.
you can look at it online with
Yeah,
Geoporte,
Geoportal.
which is Portal, yes, and
So
but you can see it, yeah.
it, the actual kind of the actual markings of where it is and what I think of Gotland is not exactly the same. So I'm not worried about it because it looks like half of my shed is actually owned by the Marie of the local Marie, but I don't think it's going to be an issue.
So
But
you can get someone. It's a professional person. Is it a Geometra? Andy?
Yes.
Yeah, they're very very expensive for what they do. Very, but they will come out and they'll
Mark
measure,
it out.
and they'll mark out on the ground with the little plastic paddles. So you will know exactly what is yours and what is not yours.
It's interesting that. I mean, if you've ever been to view a house or you've been in the countryside, you'll probably, and this is for anyone watching, you'll probably see like an orange lollipop.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Stuck in the ground. And that actually defines the limit of some of the boundary of the land. And that's officially recognized, and you're not allowed to move those markers if they're there.
Yeah.
So that's officially where it ends. But interestingly, when I look at where I am here on the cadastral plan, um, the lines of the cadastral parcels of land don't specifically line up underneath. So it looks like, for example, what you said there, Sean, part of it is maybe in the communal land or whatever, but in fact, it probably belongs to you anyway.
Yeah.
So I
Got
wouldn't
the
worry
same
too much about
actually. We've got a field. We've got a 6,000 square meter field behind us, and the access to the field. It's not clear on the cadastral whether we own it or it's communal land. So we just cut the grass anyway.
it.
Um, yeah. But what I was going to say was what was quite interesting was the difference between when we bought a house in 2015 and when
Mm.
we bought this one a few years ago. The difference in the process with the notaires. So in 2015, it's only, it's a relatively short time. It was very, very formal.
Yeah,
Uh, the notaire was a very elegant French lady, and we had to have an official interpreter. I think it was about €100 that
yeah, me too. Yeah,
us and the vendor and us split the cost. But I can't remember what she referred to the notaire as, but it was a very formal title, and we had to go through each sheet of paper, and it had
mm.
to be read and translated, and then signed. And it was about 4 inches thick. This sheaf of papers, and we had to go through every one and sign it. With the purchase of this one, um, it was all done electronically. He had like a projector, projected it onto a screen on the wall, whizzed through it, and he spoke English and just raised the salient points.
Yeah,
And we signed on a little
yeah.
electronic pad, and we was in and out. I don't know, in 40 minutes, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a quick question, Colin. On the original, on your first one, was the seller in the same room at the same time?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We all had to be there.
Mm.
Ours didn't, strange enough. Ours actually paid. We actually initially signed the acceptance by proxy,
But
which
yeah,
is like
that
that
is
was
that.
another, yeah, that was like €500. But it just saved us the cost of having to go over. And then the actual seller, they did exactly the same, and they weren't there for the signing at all.
So were the sellers, what was the nationality of the sellers, you reckon?
They were from the UK.
Ah, yeah.
So, and I think they
Dodgy.
decided that it was just time to move on.
A little story. Obviously, we get sidetracked, don't we, sometimes? But when I bought this house I'm living in now, when I went to see it, and the offer was on for 82,000 euros. Sorry, the price they wanted was 82,000 euros, and this was back in 2010. And I said, "Yep, okay, I give you the offering, the asking price, no problems. That's fine for me. I'm not even going to try and knock you down." And then about 2 or 3 days later, it was a family that was selling it after the father had died, and the sisters were all there, and they all agreed with it. And but apparently there was a brother, and he said, "No, no, he's English. He can pay more than that. I'm going to change the asking price to 92." And I just went, you know what, whatever. Yes, fine, okay, just just be like that if you want to be. And anyway, I bought the house, and it was interesting because when we did the thing that Colin said was in the notaire's office, we were all crammed in there. There was me and my family, and the three sisters and the brother in there with the notaire, and there was a trans. We had to have a translator, like Colin said, and she was absolutely useless. She would just listen to what he was saying and go, and we'd say, "Well, what's he saying?" And she, oh, right, yeah, okay. And it's absolute
You
complete.
really understand the concept of the
Yeah,
translation.
exactly. And anyway, so the it was quite interesting because the notaire turned around at the end and the translator said, "Okay, so the brother is talking to the notaire, and he's not very happy because now he's elevated the price. He's going to have to pay a way more tax on this than he had originally thought."
In
And
your
I was
face.
like,
Yeah.
"Get in, brilliant." Seriously, you're right. That's karma.
Yeah.
Just because, anyway, but it turns out that where I work now, my boss used to know the guy that sold it, the brother.
Right.
He said normally he was a nice guy, and I said, "Well, not for the English people." Then obviously, and he went,
You know,
"Well, obviously not."
my
Which is
hatred of the
right.
English goes
Awkward.
deep with the French. So,
Yeah,
what I did want to mention was when you notice about the obviously my lack of French, but all the documents we received were in French.
yeah.
But you do know Google Translate has a document converter, which I basically dropped. the whole complete PDF file
Yeah.
into the translator, and it completely come out in English.
Yeah.
While it was a bit strange, but it really did save so much time because basically then I sat here in my house in Belfast and she went through it all in English, tried and then looked at the French one and kind of trying to work out what was going on. And it was just so it's great having a kind of tool like
That's
that.
it. That's a good tip actually,
Yeah. I mean
especially
we did.
for the diagnostic. That's
Yep.
really interesting. I
Yeah.
mean, I want to fast forward quickly to the second house that I bought, which was in 2020, and it was a completely different experience. Completely, it was more like Colin's experience with the screens and all that sort of stuff. And the woman, the sorry, no, it's a woman, the notaire, the female notaire said. And she spoke a bit of English, but I spoke French by that time. And she said, "Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're buying?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, I can miss all this then." And
Yeah.
then just
Yeah.
like click through it all. And then she goes, "You do know that your neighbour's got a right to your access to your will in your garden." I said, "Yeah, that's fine, no problem. I knew that." Click through it all, and then you said, "Right, sign here on this electronic pad," and that's it,
Yep.
done, dusted in like well less than half an hour, I reckon.
I mean, I understand that a lot of people are trepidation about how bureaucratic the French can be,
Oh, it is.
but but it is to save you painful things down the line. What was the? I mean, the first thing we did was contact the EDF to get the electricity changed over, and does they have a French speaking part, English speaking part section? So I just phoned those. 20 minutes, it was all done.
Mm.
I got the water turned over as well, changed over into our name as well. The meter was read by the actual immobilier, and she sent the documents on. Then she contacted them on the seller's behalf to say they're no longer there. And then we just literally, I contacted them as soon as I got back to Belfast. Again, picked it up, and it's all gone through now. So I got the direct debit and my and then I paid my tax foncier because you pay your tax foncier. Is it like a year in advance?
If you bought a house, you'll usually pay that through your notaire. Right, quick question then, Sean. What DIY, well, you said you're gonna do stuff to your house. What DIY skills do you have currently?
Well, besides being a certified, I got my sitting gills in carpentry and joinery when I was about 2021. And then I sort of still have those, but even though I work in computing, I have done the last 25 years. I can, basically make things and do things. And I do a lot of DIY around the house. But I must say, to my wife's pure annoyance, I procrastinate. I'm a terrible
Oh,
procrastinator. The
join the
amount of,
club. Join
the
the
amount
club.
the
I can't
amount of
make up my
jobs
mind whether I'm or not.
I have a list. There is a list in my house. I do get them done, but it just, it's not like it won't be this way. I mean, for instance, I have an air conditioning unit which I've had for 3 months in sitting in a box in the garage, and we've just had some lovely hot weather here, and it's still not
Well,
installed.
it's got to acclimatize apparently to
Yeah,
the
yeah, well, yeah. In the box, in the box.
yeah.
It's one of my foibles. So I do have some skills. Um, the things I would, as you mentioned before, the things I don't touch, electrics, plumbing. As you say, if it goes wrong, you get wet. Yeah, electrics, you're dead. Right. So
Mhm.
these are things and the things. So I have enough skills to hopefully. Um, I'm following another guy on. I think it's an old man renovation. Who's just bought a really really cheap. Uh, um, House, and he just completely ripped the roof off, put the roof back on again. Put all the rafters back on and the battens, and then just put all the tiles back on. Did a wonderful, clean, a lovely job of it. So yeah, I'm not saying it's just that when you're going to pay for work in France, you do understand that 10% is going straight to the taxman. So whatever you've been quoted, there's 10% of that goes to the taxman.
Oh, minimum. I would say
Yeah,
minimum
yeah,
because
Mm.
obviously I work for a company here in France, and the amount that I get paid versus what they have to pay, if you
yeah,
see what I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it I guess the whole society in France is completely different to the UK. So, mm, for example, the workers' rights here are above all else, and because it's a socialist country.
Yeah.
So if you're productive, you have a job and you do what you're supposed to do, you get protected. People can't do you over. Like a boss can't just say, well, I don't want you anymore or anything like that. No, if you've put the time in and you're a good employee, then you get protected by sure. Like for example, so as you work, the boss pays as you work. He pays your all holiday pay every month, even though you
Right.
don't take the days.
Yeah.
And that goes to a separate third party company. So when you do take your paid leave, he doesn't pay you. The third party company pays you.
Right.
It's
Okay.
like a
Right.
society,
Yeah.
like yeah, a society that pays you. So he can't, even if he goes bust tomorrow, you'll still get that holiday
Oh,
money you've
okay.
accrued. You still get everything you've accrued will still get paid to you. It's very, very uh, worker based as opposed to business based. So, like in England, Starbucks and whoever, they don't pay any tax or anything, and they treat their workers pretty miserably in 0 hour contract and stuff,
Allegedly. Allegedly.
allegedly.
Yeah.
But here, it's just not possible. You can't sack anyone either, unless. Oh, hello, was Colin gone?
Hello.
He didn't.
Colin. Oh,
He didn't like it, did he?
no. What did he say?
Oh,
Oh,
he's back. He's back. He's back.
put 50p in the gas, please, Colin.
Right.
There you go.
Hey, he's back. Anyway, so yeah, so what I was saying is it's pretty much a worker-based society, which is a bit different. But the ways in that will affect you having a second home here.
Yeah.
If it's your primary residence, you don't pay any tax habitation. So
Are they getting rid of? Is that the one they're getting rid of? I thought they were actually. I read somewhere there's three taxes that, and one of them's going to be got rid of. So, but I don't think it might be the tax habitation.
So at the moment, if you have a house in France, you pay taxe foncière, which
Yeah.
is to the government, central government. You pay taxe habitation. If it's your primary residence, then you don't pay that. So, for example, here I don't pay tax habitation here, but I do pay, or I would pay it for my second home.
Okay.
Because this home of yours in France is your second home, you have to pay both.
Yeah.
But still, you add them both together, it's miles away from the council tax you would pay in the UK
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, we still have rates in Northern Ireland. We've got they've never moved over. It's still the same money. It's still like £1,000 for a semi-detached house in Belfast. But so yeah, it's just But then again, it's just one payment. I don't know how much we'd pay in community tax. What's it called? Community tax in the UK? What's it
No,
called?
council tax.
Council tax, right?
That's
Yeah,
okay.
but you pay by person, don't you, in the UK? So we
The
have to
only
buy
one I
that
know.
up in the house.
Mm.
So they're a lot more expensive.
Mm. But in France, it's different. And also in France, they look after their pensioners a little bit better. Obviously, the pension is massively way more than it is in the UK. But also, in addition to that, as you get older, you get more benefits. So you suddenly don't have to pay tax foncière as well. So
Oh,
that all drops off. And the older you get, the more benefits you get, basically. And actually, interestingly, I was speaking to a guy who did some military service and retired, and he gets free parking everywhere. And
all
it
right.
just,
Okay.
but along with other sorts of benefits as well. But it was just something that I saw and I thought, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So he
No.
gets free parking everywhere. He
Serve
has
the
a special
country. Yeah.
military pass, a retired military thing, and they really do respect the people who put in the service for the country. But anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, obviously. So tell us a bit more about this house.
Uh,
What was it like?
well, as I mentioned, the roof will have to be done. Um, it's quite a tight high pitch. Now, if obviously you can't tell, but I'm sitting down, but I'm 6'4", so I'm a bit of a big lad. So it's quite tight in certain parts of the actual roofs, but I can
Mm.
still get through.
Is it a
But
slate roof, Sean, or is
yeah,
it?
it's a slate roof. But no, I'm
Yeah,
not sure what type of, if it's because there are various different types of slate, but I need to actually get up and have a good look. But there's a lot of ivy up it that needs to be cut back as well. So, and probably one of the walls is coated with a cement right around two sides, which will probably have to come off because it's a stone building, so it'll probably need to be
good luck with
repointed.
that.
What?
Good
Sorry?
luck with that, getting the
Yeah,
cement.
no. I've been watching Robbie. And
Hmm.
watching him do that because I asked him about where do you get his scaffolding from, and he said borrowed it from a neighbour. So that'll have to be done because obviously what happens is he literally makes the house sweat because
Yeah.
it doesn't breathe. So you got to make sure that you have lime mortar so the house breathes.
Yeah, definitely. That's a unfortunately, especially in I think probably everywhere really, but there's no real foundations normally to the house, and there's definitely no damp-proof course.
Yeah,
When they were built, they would just literally pile stones
but
on with the minimum amount of lime and sand they could get away with. So yeah, it's tricky because it does the moisture just does come in. Now you can contain it several ways, and for my second house has got basically it's built into a hill. So the whole back wall of the house for four stages is or three is built into the hill, and it's only
and
the top that isn't.
there's no
And
damp.
that's going to be super interesting to see how that's dealt with. But my house here is just similar to what you've got, stone in the ground and very little foundations. Yeah, and you need to, if it's got cement, like Colin says it won't breathe it. It's just pretty much, it's done.
I was up in the loft today. I've got three lofts here. So the loft at the very top of the house, which Andy has actually been in, and there's like the black hole of Calcutta is horrible in it, and which is part of the original house. So this house is the original stone house, and then it's got one, two, three, four extensions on it, and right at the back in the gables of the house, you can see the original wooden frame, and it's basically made out of a tree. It's got it's
Yeah.
the
Mm.
wood has still got bark on it.
Right?
Yeah, I filmed it.
That's,
You'll be able to see it on the video, but
yeah.
it's mad.
Yeah.
I wanted to say anything about what Colin said in one of his videos that the garden has trees. I'm sort of before I would never thought about it, and he's very aware of getting someone to come around and check your trees to make sure that they aren't going to blow over because the
Yeah,
shed that I had in the garden did have a tree fall on it and it broke the roof and it's got to be
Wow.
replaced. So I'm very aware of like, and it falls onto the public land, so I've got to be very careful about.
yeah. I mean, you get an arborist. They're
Yeah,
quite reasonable, really. I think I paid 420 euros for three guys for the whole day.
That's really good.
Yeah,
yeah, that would be good. Yeah, when you think of it, you really expect someone to be getting charging about 120, 150 a day per
yeah.
person.
Mm.
Oh, I mean, that's cheap. That is cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And I and
and he was, the guy that came around, Matt. He was really knowledgeable. If you remember on the video, but he was looking at a tree. I think it was an old cherry tree in the corner, and he said, "See that down there?" And it was like a little, about the size of a cricket ball, just this black hard ball. He said, "That tree's got to come down."
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And I said, "That looks fine." And he said, "No." He said. That's got to come. That's going to fall down soon. If you don't take it down now, that's going to fall down. And as you said, Sean, it was right next to the road. And he said, should it fall on the road and kill someone? That's it's down to you.
yeah, but
So,
I
Uh,
mean for the cost.
so he chopped the tree down, and there was a live band around it, and all the centre was hollow. And in some parts of the live band, it was only like a centimetre thick. But
well,
he was able to see that, he was able to know what was inside the tree just by that little hard nodule.
Yeah.
wow.
So money well spent, yeah, getting the trees checked.
So back to DIY. Yeah,
Yeah.
got some skills. Probably the roof. If I get scaffolding, I wouldn't do it myself. I might wait until maybe one of my brother-in-laws come over. Well, one of my brother-in-laws, he's a civil engineer, um, and try and actually say, is it worth having to go yourself just to save the cost? Um, because I think the quote was like 30 grand
Yeah.
for the new roof, but that's just the roof. That's basically just take off the slates, clean the battens, new battens, and that's it. It's not replay or do fix any of the actual roof structure. Because I think you mentioned it's two different uh, artisans, isn't it?
Yep.
You
Yeah,
have
sure.
like a
That's it. It's what
roofer
you're saying,
and then
Andy.
a carpenter.
It's interesting. Give you oh, I'll give you a little story, strangely. So at work, my boss has bought a couple of buildings by a lake, and he wants a new, or he wanted a new, what do you call it? They call it bac acier, which is like a steel roof, but insulated, putting on. But the guy came out who's the roofer, and I mean, he's my neighbor actually. He lives about four doors up, and he's a well-renowned roofer. And he went, well, I can't do it because I don't. The carpentry's not done, the woodwork. And the boss was like, oh, well, I have to find. I said, no, look, listen, I'll do the woodwork, and you can get your mate to come and put this roof on. So I did all the beams and all that kind of stuff. I did all that. And the roofer came out and he said, "Yep, good job. Yep, I can definitely work with this. That's fine." But they really don't mix the trades. So you wouldn't get a
No.
roofer that would do the carpentry, and you wouldn't get a carpenter who would do the roofing. And one of the reasons for that, and I didn't realize, well, until I've worked here for a while, is the insurance is very specific on what you can do and what you can't.
Okay.
So you can't, I mean, there's no real, I mean, if you have a general builder, the insurances must be crippling because because you have to pay for insurance for carpentry, you have to pay the insurance for the roofing, you have to pay the insurance for the electrics. I mean, I don't know how they would survive on that, but anyway, it's basically the insurance, and people just don't. Well, just don't do it. It's like I'm a carpenter and he's a roofer, and that's the way it's going to be. So my boss is quite happy that I can do the carpentry for him, so it saves him
I,
a
I bet
fortune.
he, I bet he can't believe his luck. He's got you.
Yeah, it does make things a lot easier for him. I'll be honest. Anyway, so getting back to roofing and
Yep.
scaffolding. Scaffolding in particular, it's cheaper to buy it and resell it.
Yep. I was saying you can get a tower for about 1,300 euro for a 6 meter.
Uh,
You'd have to move it rather than actually static and have it all the way around the house.
right.
Or can you, which is preferable, which is the best?
What I did for my solar panels is I contacted a guy called Scaffolding Towers France, and he's on Facebook and wherever. And what a lovely guy. And he's based near you, Colin, actually. And I said,
The
look,
guy that was on the Pethricks.
yes, he provided them as well.
Hmm.
But he did like 12 meters by 6 meters high, the whole front of my house, delivered to my gaff around about 3 grand. Now, you could probably rent it for a little bit less, but why would you? Especially if you do projects later on. I mean, I've got like a million things I'm going to do. So I just said, yeah. And it's so easy to put up. You can put it up with a couple of guys in no time at all.
Was it
So
aluminium or steel?
yeah, it's super lightweight and almost everything is new as well. I, I've done a lot of work in the UK as a contractor and done a lot in France. And I can honestly tell you, the guys that Scaffolding Tower France are easily the best for any solutions you want. Just send him a picture and a measurements, and he'll even design it for you and say, look, this is what it's going to cost. I'll deliver it to your house. He'll come with a guy and just unload it into your back garden. It's just the easiest way of doing it. And you can even split it when he's finished into towers and sell it on Le Bon Coin. Ooh. Anyway, in fact, when I had mine up, there's a farmer lives down the road, and he's got a college, and he teaches farming and stuff. And he stopped and he got out of his car and I saw it on the camera. I think he's, what was he doing? So I went out and I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Really like this scaffolding. Never seen anything this good before. Can you tell me where you got it from?"
All right.
And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I gave him all the details. So the guys over there are brilliant. They are good. I mean, I would definitely recommend them. But always buy your scaffolding and sell it later. It takes the pressure off, and you can always resell scaffolding
Yeah.
more or less for the same price you bought it.
That's always the idea, just because if you hire it, if you get like rainy days, you're gonna go, oh, they're gonna come,
No,
I'm gonna
no,
pay again. Yeah. If you
no.
just put it yourself, yeah.
Mine was up for 6 months doing the solar system, and if I'd have hired it for that, it'd be a nightmare.
What was it? It was. Oh, I did mention about hot water, the ballon,
Yeah,
where it doesn't seem to be, even though I in the actual consumer box there is a switch which has got zero, one, and auto. Put it onto auto, never really heated the water. Contacted EDF and I asked them about, and they went, "Oh, just get electrician to have a look at it."
yeah.
Now maybe it just needs a timer, or there might be a switch on the actual ballon itself. What's the actual technical word? Is it chauffer? Oh,
Well, it's
or
a chauffeur,
yeah,
chauffeur,
shuffle.
mate, but ballon d'eau.
Mm.
That would work as well. But your problem is not that the switch doesn't work, is what's telling the switch to come on or off. So I'm going to actually do a video, maybe tomorrow, about linky meters.
Oh, good.
It's obvious now that people are contacting me, quite a lot of people actually, saying, "Can you tell me what this does or what does this mean in the linky meter?" So if I do a video, people can tell. But on your linky meter, you have two contacts, C1 and C2, that's actually in the linky meter. And what happens is the linky meter is pretty smart and it knows what kind of tariff you've got. Let's say your tempo or on or off peak, and as soon as it gets to off peak, that contact closes, and you can use that to connect to what you're saying, the on, off, and auto, and that will only heat your hot water in off peak.
Yeah, my off peaks from I think it's a zero strange. It's 0:52 in the morning to 5:52, and then 2 hours in the afternoon as well for some unknown reason. But
Yeah, I'm going to say this, and it's probably too late, but for most people watching this, your best bet is not to get off-peak electricity. It's way cheaper to just be on the base tariff for 90% of the people. Unless you can, you just look and see what you can actually activate and put on route in the evening. If it's less than what you would use during the day, uh, cooking I don't know, if you've got electric oven or heating, all that sort of stuff, then you're going to lose money
I
because it's
think
more
the
expensive.
exception to that has to be if you've got a swimming pool.
Oh, absolutely. If you've got a swimming pool,
Yeah,
yeah, run it on the off peak, that's for
yeah,
sure.
definitely.
I don't have a swimming pool.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
But most
Where's
people,
that now?
if you're, for example, if you're retired or your second home, you'll spend most of your electricity during the day.
Yeah,
People who like me who've got a job during the day, well, it's no use. Most of what I use is in the evening or at night because I'm at work during the day, so it makes sense. But for people with a second home, you're going to be there all day during the day, and the base rate is cheaper than the on and off peak. So it's worth considering.
hmm. I'll contact them. They're very good actually. You do email them, they get back to you within a day. What was the house actually has two wood burners. There's no central heating. There's no gas. There's no oil. There's nothing. And I did get the chimneys checked. Now they do need to be relined. So, but that was something we have to look at when I'm over in later this year. So I
Well,
just thought,
that's something you can consider with the scaffolding towers. If
yeah,
you have one, the ones from Scaffolding Tower France, although it would stretch the entire length of the house, if you decided you need to go taller at the gable end, for example, you can rebuild it up to the gable end and put your
But,
own liner in. and there's nothing to stop you doing that as long as you
Yeah.
get it cleared every year by a ramoneur, a chimney sweep.
Yeah.
You can do that yourself. So you just literally go up, buy the liner, go up there on your scaffolding, and you send it down from on high. Just tape it to the one you've got, or well, you put wire in basically, and fire it through, and you'd have that done in a day, each
Yeah.
one.
Mm.
I mean, I think my brother-in-law has been doing quite a few of those, so it'd be easy enough to get him over because
Fine.
it's quite a high pitch. It's quite a high because it's on sort of two levels.
Yep. But if you that this is the advantage of buying a scaffolding tower because or the scaffolding, you can keep it in reserve for all these kind of jobs, and you
Yeah,
don't have to rehire it, get someone out every time. So I would definitely.
Also, I think having log burners as your only form of heat is it's important that you source the right wood from the right place at the right price.
Ah, yeah.
You could, I mean, we talked at some length, you can go to your brickhouse and pay 160 euros for a stair and it'll be really good wood. Or you can, find a local farmer and, get some wood for, I don't know what, 50 euros a stair. So, it's a third of the price and it'll still keep you warm. But
that's the kind of thing I need to look for.
yeah, definitely, yeah. But obviously, it's important that you get the right type of wood. You can't use resinous woods,
Yeah.
like your pine and cedar stuff like that, which I'm sure you know. But because you also fire to your chimney eventually, um, which is probably gonna ruin your evening.
Yeah.
Uh, but your oaks, chestnuts, the hardwoods. If you can find someone that's going to supply that, and you've really got to plan at least a year ahead, at least. And whatever you think you need, probably buy another third.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, that's being conservative, isn't it? With a small. So,
Because you literally don't know what the weather is going to hold for the winter.
yeah, it's just that you always use more than you think you're going to.
I think my mum actually, strangely enough, my mum said it best is I buy the same amount now than when my dad was alive. And she said it's just money in the bank because it gets drier and better and hot.
Mm.
When you burn it, it'll be hotter.
Yeah.
And she
Mm.
doesn't use as much, so she's stocking it up. And by the time you get round to using it, the wood is burns hotter, so you use less of it. I know it sounds weird,
Yeah,
but
it's true. It's true.
she's right.
Yeah. She's
Definitely.
the font of all knowledge, your mother.
She certainly is.
Fountain of knowledge.
She's brilliant. And she does knock out a fantastic sausage roll as well.
She
So
does indeed, yes, yeah.
what's not to like? Oh, and she's a sharpshooter as well. Who knew?
Yeah, well, not many people to watch that video, but yeah, it's quite impressive. Yeah.
Is there any
So,
other question you think you'd like to ask me that's I haven't mentioned?
well, basically, yeah. So you decided to buy a house in France. You got a minimal, well, so you've got DIY knowledge, but did you look for a house that needed doing up, or how did you, oh, it's difficult to explain. Did you look for a house that needed doing up, or did you look for one that you could live in straight away?
Well,
Basically.
that was a bone of contention. I went, right, do you know what? Buy a house in the south of France, 30 grand, do a upper, spend 5 years, did all
Okay.
right. And my wife looked at me and she went, no, I am not moving into a house where it's a building site. And
What
then
that
she
basically
went,
means is
and
that
it
you'd
was,
be living in a caravan
yeah,
for
Yeah.
living in a car.
years.
No,
That's
it
what
was
that
that.
means.
Uh,
That was a non-starter. So it was then, and then we sort of talked about the weather, and it was like because we were in Carcassonne and Toulouse a couple of years ago, and it was like 40 degrees, and we went.
It's quite
I
Just
know. No.
it was baking hot, and I went. Even I find it a bit too warm. So sort of the climate in north in
Mm.
Brittany and Normandy is just more suitable for me and my raid. So yeah, initially again also as well cost because um, I thought initially we was just going to get a loan of maybe up 50 grand and just buy a rundown house, but the sort of the money was I've been paying into a pension for years and I hit 55 and I realized, oh, I can take this money out. And the
Yeah.
only reason why I took it out was because the actual value, because it's linked to the stock market, it was dropping like a stone. I
Yeah.
looked at my pension; it went down £10,000 in one day, and it took 3 months to get back up to where it was. And I'm going, you know what? If I take 25% out and buy something, physical, tangible, then it's a good investment, and that's exactly what I did, and that was sort of paid for the house. Took out a quarter, and I think I took out like £75,000, converted to euros. That paid for the house.
So
So, it, it,
go on. Sorry.
no, I was just saying that's the sort of I thought that if I do it now while I'm sort of still working, and then any I can pay for any repairs in the next 2 to 3 years. So maybe when I come to retirement, there won't be as much to do on the house.
Yeah, exactly. That's brilliant. And it actually reminds me what Colin said. And he said it a lot in his videos. And I did an interview with him. And when I did the interview with him, it really stuck in my mind was life's too short. If you're
Yeah,
going to do it
Just
now
do it. Yeah.
I wish I'd done
because
it years ago.
you just don't know.
You don't
I
know what's
didn't
around the
try.
corner. Yeah. For me, it was I had a share save scheme at work that was gonna. It was 5 years, and it was gonna triple the money that I'd put in. And I think it came out to about 40 grand, something like that. I was all set to buy a Mercedes C63,
Yeah,
and I thought, it makes sense.
yeah,
And then one of the fellas in work was looking on the computer in the yard at property in Spain. So he finished on the computer, so I had a look, and then I had a look at France, and I realised you could buy a house in France for like 30 grand. And I came home and told Jane. She went, "Yeah, dream on, never happening." And it was a war of attrition, and obviously I won because then then I found out that you could get a French mortgage quite easy. Well, I say
Yeah.
easy, uh, relatively easy, as long as you don't mind a stack of paperwork. Yeah, and we went from a budget of 30,000 up to a budget of about 170, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But
That's
yeah, and that opened up the opportunity to buy the converted barn up in Normandy.
brilliant.
And there you go. And the rest, as they say, is on YouTube.
Right. Well, I guess that's probably near the end, I guess.
I know, look,
Yeah.
it's like a time machine, isn't
It is
it?
a
it
time
is.
machine. So what do you reckon then, Sean? Did that go quick or what?
Yeah, incredibly quick. It was just bing bang bong, done.
It's
Yeah.
funny because everyone that comes on as a guest, they always say the same thing. Oh, but I got a lot more I can say. And you're like, well, yeah. Well,
I'm sure that the recording will finish on. We're going, why didn't I mention? Oh, did I mention that? Did I mention? Yeah, I'm sure there'll be another
Do yourself a
round
list and
in 6 months' time.
yeah, do yourself
you
a
know,
list and
in fact, it'd be really interesting to see and come back and have another chat with Sean in the future to
definitely,
see
yeah.
how it
Yeah,
progresses and,
yeah.
how he's got on with specifically for me for the bureaucracy and
Yeah,
like getting the electric sorted, getting the DIY stuff done. For me, that'll be quite interesting and see how it's gone. And I think that'll be really interesting to see.
I think
yeah.
what's sorry, mate, go on.
Oh, carry on, Colin.
No, I was just going to say that I think we said about it last week that French ear trumpet, it's been going for quite a while now. I think it's a fantastic resource for anybody that's thinking of doing what we've done. It's a fantastic. There's so much information. It's a great resource.
Definitely.
I think that's what really comes across on the channel. It's about look, it's easy that it can be done. It's as you say, just make a plan, a 5 year plan, and say right in 5 years I want to be France. I mean that's what Maid and I have done. I've said like I'm a few years away from retirement. What do I need to be? Where do I want to be in 5 years? I go. I want to be in my house in France, right? I want to have a house in France. So how do I do that? I
Yeah,
first
just
of all
break it down into steps.
yeah, baby steps. Yeah, look for a house. Is it in budget? No, it's okay. You're going to work on it. How much work's going to be involved? How much money is going to be involved in updating the house? All those things. And once you start getting your wrapping your head around all the work that's got to be involved, the bureaucracy, it's all doable. It really is. I mean, you've both done it, so and I'm just the next.
If we can do it, anybody can.
Yeah, I'm just
I
gonna.
was just going to say that.
Yeah, any thicko from any Birmingham thicko like me can do it. Then yeah, it's all
Yeah.
possible.
Andy, anything you'd like to add?
No, brilliant. That was good. That was brilliant.
All right. Sean, anything you'd like to add at the end now?
There's probably multiple questions that I need to ask, but I can't remember what they are.
Don't worry,
Um,
we'll come back to it.
we'll come back to
All
that.
right, so going to wrap it up there. Say thank you so much, Sean, for taking the time to join us on French Air Trumpet. It's very much appreciated, and yeah, can't wait to come back actually and in
Yeah,
a while and
Yeah.
see how you're getting on. That'd be great. All right, so thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you'd like to leave a thumbs up, hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm sure you did. Leave a thumbs up. Um, Maybe share it on your socials. Press the notification bell so that you know when there's new content. Maybe think about subscribing if you're not subscribed already. And all that leaves to say is it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from them.